Hello, this is Layla Brewer, Title IV Part A Program Consultant here at KDE. For everyone watching or listening in, I'm going to give you an overview of Title IV Part A. For a little background, Title IV Part A is newly reauthorized in the Every Student Succeeds Act. Under No Child Left Behind, it is also known as Safe and Drug-Free Schools. This money was historically focused on school safety and substance abuse prevention. Under ESSA, it is now the Student Support and Academic Enrichment Program, which officially replaces the Safe and Drug-Free Schools program. It consolidates more than 20 competitive grants previously authorized as part of No Child Left Behind into one large fund called a block grant. Some of these you may be familiar with include the Math Science Partnership, Advanced Placement Incentive Program, and the High School Graduation Initiative. The purpose of SSAE grants is to improve students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of states, districts, schools, and communities to provide all students with access to a well-rounded education, improve school conditions for student learning, and improve the use of technology in order to improve academic achievement and digital literacy of all students. For fiscal year 2018, Title IV Part A allocations are posted on the KDE Federal Grants page. As districts begin to look at their allocation amounts, they may find that the funds may not be sufficient to independently fund many activities in the three content areas. It is encouraged that districts leverage other federal, state, and local resources in combination with this grant. For example, the SSAE grant can be used in conjunction with other titles within ESEA to support specific interventions, activities, or services. It may also benefit smaller districts to apply as a consortium or work with local cooperatives. The first step districts must take before applying for funds is to complete the intent to participate in GMAPS. The intent just lets the budget manager at KDE know if you will be applying for Title IV Part A funds individually as part of a consortium, or if you're declining Title IV Part A funds and want the money reallocated to other districts. If the intent is not completed by the deadline, then the district's allocations will be reallocated. So please, be sure the intent is completed and approved by the superintendent by the deadline. Once the intent closes on February 1st, the KDE Budget Manager will reallocate the money and load the funds into GMAPS for districts to begin the application process. The Title IV Part A application will be part of the consolidated application in GMAPS. Since Title IV Part A is rolling out so late for fiscal year 18, districts will have until September 30th, 2019 to spend their 2018 funds. The 2019 Title IV Part A application will come out with the rest of the consolidated applications later this year. Many districts have experienced some confusion in the consortium piece for Title IV Part A. For this grant, districts have the option to join a consortium if they want, but there are no requirements that districts form a consortium. Districts are able to stand alone if they choose. There is a webinar about Title IV A consortiums on the KDE Media Portal with more information. When a district or consortium begins to plan how to distribute funds, they must prioritize schools based on one or more factors that include schools that are among those with the greatest needs, have the highest number of students from low-income families, and are identified as priority-focused schools. As far as the local application requirements, districts are still required to consult with non-public schools and provide equitable services to non-public schools that choose to participate in Title IV Part A. There will be an equitable services section for districts to fill out for the FY18 application, and additional information about how funding and services are allocated to non-public schools will be sent out to districts. In addition to consulting with non-public schools, a district or consortium must also consult with stakeholders in the surrounding area. Those stakeholders include parents, teachers, principals, local government representatives, and community-based organizations. After the consultation with local stakeholders, districts that receive an allocation of $30,000 or more must conduct a comprehensive needs assessment to examine its needs for improvement of access to and opportunities for a well-rounded education for all students, school conditions for student learning to create a healthy and safe school environment, and access to personal learning experiences supported by technology, and professional development for the effective use of data and technology. Those with allocations of $30,000 or more will also need to spend 20% on activities that support well-rounded education, at least 20% on activities that support safe and healthy students, and a portion of funds can be spent on technology. Components that could be identified in the assessment include specific subjects, activities, or programs that are necessary to ensure students have access to a well-rounded education and a safe and healthy learning environment. Districts should ensure that their unique needs are fully identified and incorporated as appropriate. Districts can use their comprehensive district improvement plan or a needs assessment that they have already completed for another grant application if the data and information is still current, relevant, and addresses the content areas in Title IV Part A. If the current district improvement plan or other needs assessment the district has already completed only addresses one or two content areas of Title IV Part A, then the district can use it in combination with another assessment in order to address all three areas. Subsequent needs assessments should be conducted at least once every 3 years. Districts that receive less than $30,000 do not need to conduct a comprehensive needs assessment, and they can spend their money in any of the three program areas, which are, again, well-rounded education, safe and healthy students, and effective use of technology. All districts that apply for Title IV Part A funds can use up to 2% of the money for administrative costs. There's also a special 15% rule that all districts must follow when it comes to effective use of technology. Districts cannot spend more than 15% of funds that are designated for effective use of technology on technology infrastructure. For example, if a district receives $20,000 in Title IV-A funds and decides to put $5,000 into technology, only 15%, or $750, can be used to purchase infrastructure. Now, Title IV Part A funds are able to be used to supplement and not supplant non-federal funds that would otherwise be available for activities authorized under the Title IV-A program. That means that LEAs may not use Title IV-A program funds for the cost of activities in the three program areas if the cost of those activities would have otherwise been paid with state or local funds in the absence of the Title IV-A program funds. In other words, if money is available to fund that activity from another source, you cannot use Title IV Part A funds to pay for that activity and move that other money somewhere else. Okay. After all that background information, I'm sure many of you are asking, well, what can districts do with this money? In well-rounded education, districts can use the money to fund foreign language and civics instruction, high school redesign with dual or concurrent enrollment, and early college high schools, accelerated learning programs, environmental education, college and career counseling, and social-emotional learning. For safe and healthy students, districts or consortiums can incorporate programs that foster safe, healthy, supportive, drug-free environments, bullying and suicide prevention, school-based health and mental health services, and for school-wide positive behavioral interventions. And finally, for effective use of technology, districts can use the funds for personalized learning, blended learning strategies, and for specialized or rigorous academic courses using technology, including assistive technology. Don't forget the special 15% rule that no more than 15% of the funds set aside in technology can be used for technology infrastructure. You can find a longer list of example activities on the KDE Title IV-A website. Okay, so that's an overview of Title IV Part A. A couple of final things to think about. While the three content areas may seem very separate, some activities may fit into multiple content areas. You may also find, in order to meet the needs of your comprehensive needs assessment, activities in 2 or more content areas can help address those needs. For additional information and resources, please go to the KDE Title IV Part A website. There you'll find several links and resources, including the non-regulatory guidance that explains in full detail Title IV Part A. For budget questions, please contact Thelma Hawkins at thelma.hawkins@education.ky.gov. And for general grant questions, you can contact me, Layla Brewer, layla.brewer@education.ky.gov.